Hello and welcome back. Back in my study on another rainy day in Manchester with Bernard's socks, and I've just woken him up because we've come in from the shops. I'll move this camera. We've just come in and disturbed him in my study. Come on, socks. Oh, people like seeing you. Oh, hope everyone's well and keeping busy and keeping warm and reading. It's dreadful outside, but we've stocked up on all the things, and Socks has got loads and loads of cat food and biscuits, so he'll be happy when he realises. And I've got fig rolls with my tea. I'd forgotten about fig rolls. I could do a whole channel about biscuits. What do you think of that, Socks? As long as I do cat biscuits, you'd be happy. I got the worst piece of commentary on my blog, on my YouTube channel. I woke up this morning, and this is the danger of doing these things, of course. Usually I wake up and there's been all these comments, lovely, long, chatty comments from people who I'm kind of starting to feel as if I know a bit about their lives. And then random strangers, people who discover the channel anew. And then there's somebody new this morning who goes, really tedious, as a comment on one of my book haul videos from a couple of weeks ago. One that's quite popular, actually. It's had about 2,000 views in a couple of weeks. But this fella's come on and said, really tedious. So never mind, you can't please everyone. I'd love to imagine the kind of scintillating stuff that he generally watches then. I just think these are videos about book shopping and reading. And what do we find when we go to charity shops? What do we look for? It's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world to some people. So if you're looking at booktube things, there's a certain level of of soothing boredom that we enjoy, don't we, Socks? Yeah. Think about Flaubert when he said that a writer's life should be like the life of the most boring bourgeois person, because all the excitement goes on inside, and the way to facilitate the excitement of writing, of the inner life, is by having quite a routinized and dullish everyday life. Not that mine's dull at all, especially not this week. We're going to be seeing 3 bands, 3 friends of ours, playing in bands and singing. Different venues, different bands, all across the city, and 2 in Manchester, 1 in Salford. These fellas, all of them either in their 40s or 50s, in rock and roll bands, or not even rock and roll, electro pop, some rock and roll. But it's amazing. I love that. And what else? The Withington Book Festival on Saturday as well, where I'm doing my gig. I'm reading at 2 in the afternoon in Withington, amongst a whole lot of other people doing things. And I'll be reading from, I think, Doctor Who in Wonderland, or maybe Elsie Mason, and talking about those books, talking about the different hats I wear as a writer, and about my YouTube channel as well, because that's the most recent thing to happen to me in a way as a writer, the way that I've discovered this love of doing this, of talking straight to you out of my study every few days, as if I'm talking to friends out there. I hope I am. It feels like I am. Fellow readers and people interested in what I get up to. So that's Withington. We haven't had our trip to Alderley Edge yet, the annual trip, which usually falls at the very end of September. Hasn't happened yet because the weather's not good enough. Tomorrow, apparently, is good. At some point this week, I'm expecting a delivery from America as well of a particular product, which I will be trying out on my YouTube video. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to guess. Somebody actually got quite close to guessing a little while ago. What else? This is what I'm reading, look. I hope if I pick the book up, it's not going to dislodge my phone. My second Mary Higgins Clark of the week. You Belong to Me. Now, this is the one about the fella who keeps picking up women on cruise ships and giving them a ring inscribed, "You belong to me," and how he's running out of time because Sue, the radio psychotherapist, is hot on his trail. I'm about a third of the way through and adoring it, probably even more than We'll Meet Again, which I read last week. I watched the movie of We'll Meet Again last night after 3 episodes of Legends of Tomorrow, which is still going strong on our marathon. But I've got this whole set of Mary Higgins Clark movies, and they're terrible. They have ludicrously dramatic, over-dramatic action sequences that aren't in the book. People in jodhpurs hanging off cars because they've been trapped in the door by the woman they've tried to kill. And people stoving each other's heads in with pokers, or trying to. So lots of the talky bits are just excised in favour of some tussling and very quick endings. It is quite funny. They're quite funny to see. They're very enjoyable. But the books have so much more complexity and depth. I mean, it's relative, isn't it? They have so much more complexity and depth in comparison to an afternoon TV movie. But they're all enjoyable anyway. So I don't know how long I'm going to stick with Mary Higgins Clark. Maybe after this I should begin on my properly spooky reading. I've got scary books everywhere I look. I can see a whole load of H.P. Lovecrafts and a couple of the Dreams and Demons anthologies from the early 90s that I loved, that I read at the time, and they're the kind of best of horror and fantasy of those years. I can see Stepford Wives. I keep talking about going back to that. It's waiting there for me. And some Enid Blyton spooky tales. They're never spooky, really. They're just magical fairy tales. People are very sniffy about Enid Blyton, but I will always have a love for her work because of being in love with The Magic Faraway Tree and The Famous Five when I was a kid, and Noddy, one of the earliest things I read. So I could never turn against her like so many people do, hoping to seem, sophisticated. It's a funny thing about people wanting to seem sophisticated through what they're reading and, trying to show off with what they're reading. That always amuses me. There was a lot of pretentiousness amongst people when I taught creative writing and worked in universities. And it was a shame because lots of their literature courses were heavy on the Nabokov and the Thomas Pynchon and all that stuff. And really, a lot of those people could be better served by reading good commercial fiction, thrillers and science fiction and horror, to see how people like to read. Not learning all the ways they can in order to put people off reading. That's often how creative writing works, and it's a shame. And I think in Britain there is a level of kind of snobbery and pretentiousness, that things that are funny aren't as valuable as things that are tragic. I saw Christopher Eccleston on Instagram saying how wonderful Maggie Smith was and how she was known for comedy and maybe not as well respected as a result. And I'm not sure about that, but you might have a point. And he asked kind of rhetorically, why is comedy the kind of lesser sibling? And of course, the answer I've heard at some point is that Plato's Poetics of Comedy burned in the library at Alexandria, but the Poetics of Drama, Tragedy, survived. I'm not sure if that's true or not. It would be a nice explanation. It would also make a fantastic time travel story too. I'd like to know more about the library at Alexandria. And wasn't there some rumour that it was Julius Caesar who burnt it down by firing blazing arrows into the river trying to kill someone, Cleopatra's sister or something. I might have made all of that up, but there's something intriguing about the whole story. And I wonder if there was a cafe in the library at Alexandria and who ran it. I think there's definitely a story there. I need to find out. A library in the ancient world. See, this is what happens when I get into working. I'm writing and my head is spinning in all sorts of directions. When I'm on with a project, my mind wants to go off into other projects, and a lot of the work is containing the shape of the thing that I'm meant to be doing and not letting myself stray off on tangents. That's what my notebooks and journals are for. That's what, in some ways, talking to this camera is for as well. You catch my fleeting thoughts and inspirations, dull as they might be. I wish I'd remembered the fella's name who left the comment. Best forgotten, I think. Right, I'm going to finish my tea. I'm going to have my fig rolls. And Socks, do you want to say goodbye to everyone? No, he's sulking because of the weather, I think. Aren't you, Socks? It's funny how he doesn't do his shouting, though, as much when the camera is going. He seems so well behaved. We're going to read Mary Higgins Clark for an hour before making dinner. I think I'm doing a Chinese stir fry. See, you get to hear about what we eat as well. How exciting all of this is. Okay, goodbye, and I will see you again, all of you, very soon, I hope. Goodbye.